Well, hi there, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kareth. Today's recipe is for another meal in a jar, and this is a just add water recipe. I'm calling this Philly cheesesteak casserole, and I'll talk about how you can adapt this to serve it on a toasted roll for like a sandwich. And I'll also give you a few options for keeping this low carb if that's what you're looking for. Philly cheesesteak is actually not something I grew up eating really, but this recipe is adapted from something I had at a potluck. I thought it was delicious. She actually used ground beef. So I'm going to include lots of cheese, plenty of veggies like peppers and onions, but I don't have the right type of meat to make this very authentic. I don't have shaved ribeye. But I do have these steak bites, and they get very tender in the cooking process, so hopefully you'll get the flavors of a Philly cheesesteak, maybe not the same textures, but this really is a yummy recipe. Let me show you how I put it together. I'll start with a quart-sized jar. This will give you 3 large servings. And in the bottom of the jar, you're going to need 1.5 cups of the diced beef. And like I said, you could probably use ground beef for this. That's what she used in her casserole recipe. But I like the diced beef here. And into that, I'm going to put 1/4 cup of the cream cheese powder, and I kind of shook it to get it settled down in the spaces and fill up the gaps. Now I'm adding both colors of bell peppers as well as mushrooms and sliced onions. Now that's just what I like. You could use any or all of those vegetables and in any proportions just so they fit in your jar. Now I am including some mozzarella so the sauce would be extra cheesy, and I did blend it, but just so it would fit in the jar better. This is kind of a tight fit, so every once in a while you might have to pat it down or smush it down. All right, these 2 sauce powders are very yummy. I'm including the cheese sauce powder because I know some Philly cheesesteak is served like with cheese whiz or American cheese, and then the Espanol sauce powder, that's just going to really give you a yummy gravy and it'll help thicken up the sauce. I am going to include some butter powder here because cheesesteaks are usually fried on a flat top in oil, and I think without that being present, you might miss that flavor, so I'm adding the butter. As far as seasonings go, I think this combination is going to give you a really yummy Philly cheesesteak-like experience, especially the Worcestershire sauce powder. Now, if you don't have the powder, you could always add the liquid in when you make this. But a little bit of garlic powder, some salt and pepper, a pinch of cayenne is going to help kind of round out the flavor. It doesn't really make it spicy, but it is really good in there. And then that's all there is to this jar. You can add an oxygen absorber in there. And then if you're going to store this for the long term, be sure to wipe your rim, get a really good seal there. But I'm not going to store this. I'm going to make this for y'all in just a minute. So this is the jar that you would store on your pantry shelf. And the idea here is if you make this and you like it, then you can prep 3 or 4 of these at a time and just have them ready and waiting for you. All right, I didn't know if y'all had seen my post, but sad news, Teddy Bear did not make it. I had told y'all he had a heart condition and he was on some heart medication, but we had to put him down this last weekend. It's always hard to lose a pet, but I wanted to let you know because he's always been in my videos. Thank y'all for your thoughts and prayers. All right, when you're ready to make this, you'll just get out a large skillet or a large pot, something that has a lid. And you'll want to empty the contents of the jar into the skillet and then add water. And that's all there is to this. If you know you're just going to make sandwiches, then stick with 3.5 cups of water. If you think you're going to put this over something else like buttered noodles or mashed potatoes or cauli-rice or cauli-mash, something like that, go ahead and add 4 cups of water. And you're just going to stir that really well. Turn your heat to probably medium-high because you want to bring this up to a boil. And every once in a while, just come along and stir it. Make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. And once you reach a boil, you can reduce your heat down to probably about a medium because you want to simmer this for about 20 to 25 minutes. And you'll notice the longer you cook this, the darker the sauce will get and the thicker it will get. Now's a great time to put on some noodles if that's what you're going to serve this over, or to make those mashed potatoes or whatever you're going to serve this with. All right, now I cooked mine for about 25 minutes, and that's just how long it took for my sauce to thicken and for the beef dices to get good and tender. You'll want to give this a taste. Be sure to adjust the seasonings. I didn't add any seasoning. I thought mine was perfect, and my beef was tender at about 25 minutes. Optionally, you can add some sliced cheese or grated cheese to this. I had some smoked provolone, but you could use mozzarella. And if you don't have fresh cheese to add, I would refresh some Thrive Life mozzarella, maybe a cup of mozzarella and 5 or 6 tablespoons of water. Let that refresh and get soft, and add that to the top and let it melt. You will definitely not regret adding cheese to the top of this. It's fantastic. So you can turn off your heat, let it stand for about 5 minutes. It helps the sauce to thicken up. All right, I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can serve this. First, I'll show you over buttered noodles. And so this is the idea of a Philly cheesesteak casserole. It is served over something like rice or mashed potatoes or buttered noodles or any low carb alternatives to those. And let me tell you what, that gravy or that sauce that it's in, that is magical. It's so delicious. So it's a really good idea to pour some of that extra sauce over those noodles. And this is what your dish will look like. Isn't that gorgeous? Just look at those peppers and that beef, that yummy melted cheese, and that delicious sauce or gravy. It's super yummy, y'all. My friend Wendy sent me a picture of her low-carb cauli-mash, and it looked so good. I think this would be great on some cauli-mash. I think you could also eat this by itself, too. You don't really have to put it over anything if you don't want to. All right, so that was a fantastic bite right there. This is a delicious meal. I do not think you'll be disappointed if you try this recipe. I mean, if you like the flavors of Philly cheesesteak and if you like peppers and onions and that kind of thing, I think you'll really like it. All right, the second way to serve this would be over a toasted hoagie roll or a toasted bun. I have seen low-carb bread that I think you could toast up and put this on. Also, a low-carb tortilla, if you grilled that and heated that up, I think you could eat this kind of burrito style on a low-carb tortilla. That would be fantastic. But if you're going to serve this on some sort of bread or toast, I do suggest kind of straining off a little bit of that sauce so it doesn't get too soggy. You need some of it, okay? Because the gravy, not only is it fantastic flavor, but also that gravy really helps with the steak bites. In my opinion, the steak bites can tend to be kind of dry. So any kind of sauce or gravy or even cheese over them will help to get rid of some of that like dryness. All right. I realized I had made that upside down accidentally. So get that right side up and show you. That is a delicious bite. And there you can kind of see the interior of the steak. So it does tend to be a little bit on the dry side. So that sauce is really going to help. I actually thought when I was testing this recipe that I would like the casserole over the noodles better, but I actually preferred the sandwich. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate your views, your likes, your comments. I will have the full recipe in the description box below this video, as well as my shopping link in case you'd like to pick up any of these Thrive Life ingredients for your pantry. And if you'd like to have more of my meal in a jar recipes handy, please consider purchasing my cookbook. I just released my ebook a couple weeks ago, and so far y'all are loving it. It's 112 pages of meal in a jar recipes from my channel. I'll link to that in the comments as well as in the description box. But you can purchase it, then download it to multiple devices. You can print off any recipes you'd like. I am working on a print version of that cookbook, and I'll be sure to keep you all updated on the progress there. Okay, thanks again for watching. God bless you. And until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.